Before I go ahead and start with this workshop, I want to show you my sign name. This is it here. Let me show you again at a different angle. So that is the moon's energy that gives me my creative ideas. And that's when I have my best time for thinking of different ideas and when I take my best notes. So this is why I have my sign name. So let me go on to share my screen. Just so you know, that means that your screen will adjust a little bit. I will just give a few seconds that you can change it yourself to have it set up how you prefer it to be. Okay, so during this time, I will be showing my screen. If you are not understanding, if you're not understanding what I'm going over, if you need some clarification, please send me a message in the chat. I will have that open and keep an eye on it. If I notice there's a new message there, I'll just take a quick peek, answer it if need be. If it's something that I miss, or if I put it off until the end, we can go ahead and have a discussion about that at the end as well during the Q&A session. So if there's any technical difficulties, just send a message in the chat and I'm sure that the team will figure out and come up with a solution for you. So I am going to open up my notes so that I can see what I need to share with you about Creative Connector. So you are going to sign up for the Creative Connector. You will see that at the top it says sign in. I already have an account, which means I've already made this. I'm going to go in. I already created this so it can go nice and smooth, but I will show you a step-by-step on how to do that. So first, what you do is you sign in. It's right here. That email and password, it depends on what you have already set up with your Creative Connector account. So we have not touched Slack. We are not in Slack right now. We are actually just creating a Creative Connector account. So this is what it looks like. This is the directory for a Creative Connector. Before I go into this, I want to make sure that everybody sets up their profile. So how to get there to create your profile, you will see at the top menu, it says My Profile with a little person icon beside it. When you are setting up your account for the Creative Connector directory, you have your email entered, they've sent you this email. You have to make sure that you select opt in. It is an option, it is optional and not required, but you do want to make sure that you opt into the Slack community as well. So that's an option for you to do. You don't have to, it's absolutely not required, but you definitely can opt in to get that Slack. And they will send you an email with the information on how to set up your Slack account once you've created your Creative Connector. So there is 2 different accounts. I know there's 2 different websites and everything like that, but the emails are coming from Creative Connector. So I know it can be a little bit confusing having the 2 different accounts, but that's why I'm here to help guide you through this. So back to setting up your profile in the Creative Connector account. There are a bunch of different options here to go through. I will guide you along the way, no worries. So there are 5 steps in this editing your profile section. So here is your introduction, your information. You can use your name, you can do your pronouns, you can enter in your province, you can enter in that information there. All of this information is where you share as much as you would like. You can be as open as you would like or as private as you would like. You'll see this section here. This is what are you looking for on Creative Connector? How is this going to benefit you? You can pick and choose what you would like. If you would like to connect with others, do you want to find resources? You can maybe find a mentor. Maybe you want to have a deaf person, to learn from. So you put there what you would like. Maybe there's a deaf person that you would like to have as a mentor who can guide you through skills that you may want to learn. So you select what you feel fits what you would like. In the bottom here, it says access needs and work preferences. So this is just how, when you are working with other individuals or organizations, you put in what your access needs are. And that means that other projects, if they bring you onto those projects, they can look and see what your access needs are. Oh, okay, Connor needs an ASL interpreter. So any meeting that I have, I will get that set up and ready to go. Email in English is okay, and that works. But for long-winded conversations, prefer to have an ASL interpreter so that they know off the bat, instead of me coming in and saying, oh, okay, these are all the things that I need, and I hope you don't fire me because I'm asking for all of these things. This just gives you that nice, easy way of showing your accessibility needs right off the bat. Once you have all of this information there, you press save because you don't want to lose all of the work you just put in. On to the second step. This is where you add in your arts practice. So this is where your skills are. This is where you show what you are doing. There's many different options there. Most are pretty familiar terms that we are aware of. I have picked a few that I am involved in. I do have some other skills that I can provide, but I really want to focus on where I have my skills, where my passions lay. So I have put those as my preferred arts practices. And then again at the bottom, if you want to expand more, if you have an arts practice that doesn't really fit one of the checkboxes that are there, you can go ahead and add more information about where your skills lie, what you are able to provide. So go ahead and put that there. Don't forget to save. On to the third step. This step is in focusing on services. This services means, well, I can give you an example. I can offer promotional marketing services. So if there is a show in your area and you have hired ASL interpreters for that performance, or if you've hired somebody for captions and you feel like you are ready to go, you're accessible, I can do those promos for you to put that out there. I can let you know how much it will be, how much for my time, and how much for actually putting those out there. You pay me and I do those promotions and that marketing, really bringing in more people to your theater and your performance that you are doing. So that's just one example of some services that are provided. You can do, or you put there what you can do for other people, whether they are hearing, non-disabled organizations, maybe they have no experience working with disabled people. So we really want to, put this out there. They have the money that they want to focus on these services. Make sure you put yourself out there with what you have available. Again, this has an additional box where you can expand more about what your services entail. On to the fourth step. This is focusing on your communities, your identity, who you are. Most of these, we are familiar with the terms. If you have a community or an identity that just doesn't fit with that, you can go ahead and fill out the box below and share what community you do connect with. Last but not least, we have this contacts profile image. If there's any websites that you have, social media, Twitter, X, I guess it is now, Instagram, LinkedIn. So there's different places there that you can add that information on how you want to be reached. Maybe you have phone number, email. No, send a letter off, snail mail, up to you how you would prefer. This last box here, there are two options. So if I choose the option of me only, that really actually means me only. I am the only one who is able to view my profile. Nobody else on the Creative Connector directory can see my profile. I or you are the only one who is able to see your profile. So you fill out your information. If you're in the midst of working on it and you're not finished and ready, you don't want other people to see what you have created, you can make this a private profile. The other option is the public. When this says the public, that doesn't mean everybody. If you do a Google search, they won't be able to find you this way. This is not the entirety of the public. This is only people who are in the directory. So if somebody searches in Google, Connor Yuzwenko-Martin, I'm not going to show up on that page under the Creative Connector profile directory that I have. People who have an account with the Creative Connector and have filled out their profile and everything, and they do a search of my name, I will be able to be found there under the public menu option. Know that I do know that the Creative Connector is setting up a 2.0 that may make us more visible in the future. So moving on, make sure you do the save step 5 so that everything is all saved. Now, we're going to leave the editing section. You see that button right at the top. We're not done yet though. So it's really important and actually quite nice. People know who you are. They can see who you are, put a face to the name. So I do have my profile picture there. I encourage everybody to put their picture there as well. So I already have my picture there, obviously, but underneath there is some descriptive text for people who are deafblind, low vision. I do suggest that you add a descriptor of what your picture looks like there. You can describe what you are wearing, what you look like, your background, the lighting, expressions, whatever you would like to include there. If you're feeling, this alt text description, I'm not really sure, I don't know how to write it, there is some wonderful resources ready there, and they can help you with your descriptive text. And that's just right here. It's just fabulous resources. You can take a look. It's great. It adds a lot of information. I'm not going to go more into it now, but just so you know what is there for you for future use if you would like to look. So that is my profile all set and ready to go. Very cool. One last thing before I continue on. The directory. I want to show you what that actual directory looks like. So when you go to home, you will see on the tab, the green line there, they'll see home with the little house picture beside it. So right now there's 149 profiles in this directory. I took a little look around and see, I know there's so many more that we can get across Canada. We need to have more people on. So I really encourage people to do this, forward this information along, deaf, disabled. I would love to see all here and have a massive directory that we can use. Then it's easy to find different skills, services, see different faces, maybe different characters, maybe there's language, different languages that we need. So there's so many resources that we can have with this directory. So I really encourage, the supporting of all deaf and disabled artists here. So I'm going to go to the filter and just see what shows up. Let's say, for example, what skills am I going to look for? I want to collaborate with other artists. Let's see who comes up and who is also interested in collaborating with other artists like me. Oh, okay. There's a deaf individual there. It's so funny. I know Joanne. Yeah, so maybe later on, I'll check out their profile, just get that information and start a little chat with them and see where that leads. So that's about all for right now on the Creative Connector directory.
So before we start getting into Slack, I want to back up just a couple steps. Remember, I had talked about getting a confirmation email from the Creative Connect team. You'll get a link, and it's really important that you actually click on that link. It's basically letting them know that, yes, I'm here and I really want to participate and I want to join the uh, Creative Connective. And from there, moving forward, then you'll be added. If you don't respond to that link, then you don't actually get access to Slack. Okay. So we've set up the Slack account. That's our first step. And now I wanted to show you what Slack really is and its features. And we're going to look at slack.com. So for this presentation, we're going to use the website, but there is an app as well that you can access through your computer, your laptop, your tablet, your phone, your mobile phone. So you can actually use the app in many different capacities. But for this workshop, we want to make sure we go through the website so that it's more standard. But just remember, you do have other options. Okay. So what is Slack? Um, on a very foundational, concrete way of thinking it is very similar to other platforms such as LinkedIn and Facebook. It really integrates both social media and the networking portion as well as professional presence online. There's a lot of organizations that are using Slack now because it really is a great environment that is work focused, but also very friendly. And so I've noticed that there are more and more organizations that are using this platform as a tool. It's very powerful. One thing that I wanted to add, as an aside, you'll see that I'm spelling Slack as every time that I refer to it. So I'm not too sure if there is a name or a sign name for it yet, if it has been branded by the community. I haven't seen one yet, and maybe there are in small pockets. It just hasn't become popular as a kind of like a mainstream kind of sign. But if anyone knows of a sign for Slack, please let me know because it'll save my digits from finger spelling. So um, I would really appreciate that type of support. Okay, so the first thing that we do is sign in. At the right-hand corner, you can see the purple box that says sign in, and that's what we're going to do. Click there. Okay, so obviously, depending on how you set up, it's a two verification process, two-step verification process. As you can see, mine was set up via email. Perhaps you're set up with text. You'll get a code that you have to enter. Okay, now that I've come in, I have lots of workspaces. And so you can see that I have to select, and I'm looking for the Creative Connector Hub. I'm going to click on, got to scroll down a bit because I have more. There it is. And once I connect or I click on that, it comes up. So depending on, how you have things set up and what your computer is going to do, it might ask you if you want to continue opening and using the app versus the website. Like I had mentioned before, for this presentation, I'm actually going to use the website. So I'll just select continue with the website. And here we are. We're in. So before I move forward, I'm going to take a couple steps back again. Some of you may feel already that this was overwhelming or it's really confusing because when I was first coming in and logging in, I had to select a workspace. And I can understand how that could be a bit confusing. So I wanted to draw a picture. I want you to use the metaphor of, a multi-floored building, high rise, if you will, skyscraper, maybe. So, each in that building, each floor is owned by a different owner. Each floor represents a different workspace. It could be a deaf organization. One floor is creative connector. It can be a business co-op. There are multitudes of floors. For me, I belong to several of those workspaces already, which means those are the workspaces, or if you will, those floors that I have access to. Now, what I have access to and what I see on my elevator panel is not all of the floors that are available in that skyscraper, only the ones that I'm actually belonging to, ones that I have already been invited to, that I've already joined. So if it's your first time using Slack, you might not actually have many options in terms of which floor you're going to get off on. It'll be quite easy for you because then all you see is Creative Connector. So going in to that elevator, my elevator will show me the different panels or the different floors on the panel that I have access to. And instead of floor numbers on my elevator panel, I see the names of each floor. So then I get to select which floor I want to get off on. I select that floor, the elevator takes me up, opens the door, and here I am in that space, Creative Connector. What you'll see will be similar to a long corridor with many doors. And each door has a nameplate on it. And that nameplate is similar to what you see on the left-hand side in the purple menu or the purple panel on the column called channel. Here they are as I move my cursor along. Those channels are very similar to what you might see on Instagram or Twitter. You have the hashtags. The hashtag represents a specific topic. So if you want to delve into or find things specific to that topic, then you click hashtag and type in that topic. That's very similar. This is a channel, so it's a hashtag and then a channel name. There are very many different topics within that workspace. And it's really to not be in a very muddy place. It's to have it organized and have certain categorized rooms. Now, does this mean anyone can create channels once you're in that space? No, you actually have to have the permissions to be able to do that. And the only people with those permissions would be the admin. So you can look at the hashtags, and if there is a topic that you really want to see added, you can always contact an admin and request that a new channel be created. Once that request is put forth, admin gets to decide whether or not they're going to create another floor, or rather another room to that floor. So, like I said, down the corridor, there's lots of options. There's lots of doors, lots of rooms. And I'm going to think maybe it was a long weekend. It's been a few days. I've been away from Slack. Might have missed things, maybe some announcements for things that are happening this week that I don't want to miss out on. So I'm going to go and click on that nameplate. I'm going to go enter that room, announcements, and let's see what it holds for us. Here we go. Oh, and there's actually a few. So that's great. So there's an announcement that has to do with Slack. I think that's our event that it's posted. It posted about us. So there you go. You see, you can find what's going on in the community. You can catch up on news, events, going-ons, and whatnot. So perhaps you want to go back to the channels the hashtag channels, and we will want to look at something called mutual aid. So that is a more serious room, a more serious topic. If someone wants to post about things that they need some support on, there's requests for fundraising, requests for funds, how we can support one another. So let's go ahead and click on mutual aid and see what's going on. Okay. I don't see anything recent, no recent messages. I do see some kind of grayed out or blurred out comments, and you might be wondering why they're blurred out. And I have to tell you, for myself, you do use the free version of Slack. I don't pay to use the full version, which means I can't necessarily see all the archival information. So that's for those who pay for their membership, who might have the privilege and ability to do that. Um, so it's really up to you whether or not you feel that that would be valuable or not. I do want to clarify as well, the paid subscription is to the Slack program or the Slack platform, not specifically to Creative Connect, because it's non-for-profit. It's not there for a profit. Those funds and that membership goes to Slack, the overall platform. And finally, so we see nothing in mutual aid, and I thought that maybe we can try another channel, which is called Share Your Art. And let's take a peek, take a gander to see if there's anything posted there. And look, there is. Great. It looks like someone has shared their art with us, especially event promotion. And so this is where you get to take the opportunity to take a look at what's happening within the community. Maybe you have something that you have created and you really want to share that with the community. This is the space to do that, and you can post that here for everyone else to come and take a look, and you'll get the support in the comments that you need. It's not necessarily, a professional space, or it doesn't need to be something that's polished and complete. It can be something in the works. It can be something that you just want to have support on, feedback on, and this would be the place to post it. Going into different channels or different rooms or checking out all these different doors, if you find that it is empty and you're on your own and there's no one else around, that's okay too, because Slack is not something, it's not something that has to be done asynchronously. It is an asynchronous space where people can work within that space, post within that space, leave that space, other people come to that space and interact while you're not there, and then you can come back. So you don't necessarily have to be there real time with other people at the same time, but you go back and forth. So that's kind of the concept of what channels are. And you want to have, conversations, you want to prioritize some conversations. This is how you would do that. Moving on, I wanted to look at direct messaging. So DMing. Same idea. I mean, we have that on other platforms, right? Like texting, even when we sent private texts or group text, same idea. So you can have a direct conversation with another member within that workspace. An example of that is, for example, if you have an idea and you know of a specific person that you feel like, oh, they would be a great person to collaborate with or to throw ideas, volley some ideas back and forth, then instead of posting on a very public space, you can just send a direct message to that specific person. It's more private and it's more personal. To be clear, you would still have to it would be requested that you still follow the same policies around community agreements, empathy, respect, safe space, and whatnot. So that would be under, again, on the left-hand side, under channels. You can see direct messages. You see that I already have some names that pop up, so I could just click on their name and their profile and send them a quick message. But if you don't see them on that list, but you know their name, then you can actually on direct message, I can show you there, right? But next to direct messages, a little plus sign that'll pop up with a new window dialog box, and it says to. And you can just search for the name there and click on the right person. Once you connect or click on their name, then you can type them a message. I'm going to try to do that. I'm not going to do that now because it's just a demo. Did want to show you under the white space, you see the other option at the very top below the upgrade plan, so you can ignore that. But right below it says threads. And this is what threads looks like. If we click on threads, there we go. Now it's come up. Kind of the same idea as a security camera. It's kind of like within the workspace, there are cameras recording everything. It's not like Big Brother's watching or that you have to be afraid, but it gives you a room where you can actually just see everything that's happening at the same time that you've already posted on that or that you have been interacting in. So it's all there in one space rather than going into each separate space. Maybe you just want to make sure you haven't missed something. Maybe someone has sent you a message or someone has posted something and, it just didn't grab your attention at the time. You didn't notice it. And here under threads, you can see all of that and make sure that you keep up to that networking. It makes things more organized so that if you are involved in lots of discussions, sometimes it's difficult to navigate or to keep track of all of that. So this redirects you a bit, has everything in one space, and it kind of pops up like a feed. Now, right below threads is drafts and sent. Let's click on that. So there's actually three functions here, or three features. Now, how the three of these features works, I want to take a step back and use another kind of metaphor. I want you to kind of think of Slack having little tiny cute little robots roaming around, doing things, keeping busy, supporting us in the work that we do. Um, and those robots um, are kind of what's behind the scenes in drafts. So drafts is when you are proposing, you're at a specific channel, you're in the middle of writing something, but then you get interrupted and you have to leave and you don't have time to complete whatever it is that you were writing. You don't want to lose all of it. You haven't sent it, saved it or sent it. You've just left it. So a robot will come by, kind of clean up the space and say, oh, I see that this was left behind. They will hold on to it and they will put it in drafts for it and leave it for you there. And then when you come back to Slack, you're like, oh, shoot, I was working on something. Now I don't remember what it was. And instead of having to recreate everything that you just wrote, you just go to drafts. And you can see that the little robot had brought it for you and saved it for you. And then you can continue from there. I'm actually going to show you how it works. So if I go here to icebreakers, so I started a comment, or I'm going to start a comment here. So now let's say this is where I left, I closed my window, my computer shut down for the night, whatever it is. I come back and I remember that I hadn't sent it. So I go to draft and it's there. There it is. I just click on that and I go back right to that same spot and I continue writing. So that's that. The other feature is scheduled. And it is exactly what you think it is. So it's when you have an idea, you've completed the thought, you've completed the post, but you're not ready to send it quite yet. Maybe it's just not the right time. You want it timed to, I don't know, maybe, there's some large event or announcement coming on. And maybe something about foundation that is supporting you or some kind of event that's coming on, but you really want to make sure that it's scheduled in terms of marketing or timing. And so you've prepared it in the Slack community. but then you can actually schedule when you want that to go out. So there's a little robot that's on a timer and it holds on to that message until the timer goes off, and then it sends it out for you at the allotted time. So let's try one. I'm not sure if we're actually going to see it happening because it's all within a very small time line, but let's see. Let's see what's going to happen here. So it looks like I'm just typing in like a regular message, but instead of typing or selecting send, you see where the send button is, the paper airplane, right next to it is a drop down arrow. It's like a little arrow. It's a drop down menu. You can click on that. Ah, you see it says schedule for later, even pops up. It knows exactly what we need to do or what we want to do. So we can customize it. We get to select it, the timing. So I'm going to leave it for today. It says through 2:30. Yeah, let's say 2:30 and see what happens. We've got about in 30 minutes and see if it comes up and reminds us. So you can see here that it's telling you that it has been set. It's a robot telling you, I've got you, I've got your back. I've got this message and I'll send it out at the appropriate time. You can also see it under the scheduled. Also, if you've scheduled this and you've decided that you've changed your mind and you don't want the message to actually go out, you do have the option to cancel or delete the message. Here it is, cancel the schedule and save to drafts is one option, or you can just delete the message. But we'll leave it for now. So that's the scheduling function. So far, those robots are quite helpful. So we do have one more feature that I want to share in this specific area, and it's called sent. So the sent are the messages that have already gone out. So I want you to think of it as what you, as the originator, have produced and sent out. If it's discussions, if it's posts, it's anything that you have clicked sent to. And that all of your sent messages are compiled in this folder. And I guess the function is useful because, maybe you were thinking about you're currently drafting something. You're like, I feel like I did draft something similar to this in the past. You have already done the labor around an explanation around deaf culture and deafness and things like that. Maybe you want to just go back and reuse some of that language again, rather than, like I said, reinventing the wheel or restarting it all over again. You can just go back and kind of snag it from your sent folder, copy and paste it. It's your words that you've saved and you can just reuse them and recycle them. It saves time and energy. So again, that was draft, scheduled, and sent. And lastly, the feature that I wanted to show you, which is quite nice function actually, is Slack later. On the left-hand column, not on the left-hand column actually, it's farther left than the left-hand column. So that really small task bar, and you can see kind of the bookmark. It's kind of like bookmarking or tagging something for later. So when you're going online and you see all of these great articles and you don't have time to read them now and you bookmark them for later, it's the same thing, but it's all within this space. So maybe you got to see some really good resources that other artists had shared, or there was a link to a website that you might not have time to watch right now, but you really want to at another date, or maybe you're just overwhelmed with all the information, but you can actually save and bookmark all those resources for a later time when you have more time to look at it. I'll give you one example really quickly on how to save something for later consumption. We'll go home. and then community. It looks like there's a new response too today. And I'm thinking, oh, I just don't have the time right now because I'm in the middle of a presentation. It's not like I can actually do this. I want to save this. And you'll see, so the main message, and then at the very top, you see the couple menu options, and you see the icon that's shaped like a bookmark. That's the one that we want to click. So now it's saved. It's saved for later. You can see that it's even highlighted in blue now. So you know that something has happened, and what has happened is that it's saved. And so you can go back to the your column and then click on later, and you'll see that they're all saved there. And I'll show you here on the very far left column, and there it is. And it's ready for your consumption. So that is more or less our brief whirlwind look at Slack and Creative Connector. This was a really cursory view at it. There are a lot of other features as well, but I feel like we've covered, a good foundational amount. Um, and there are a lot of the resources and videos and FAQs that you can actually just delve into to look at other details to how to use Slack. But this is how we live and we work and we play in this workspace. If there's anything that, maybe you had forgotten or you want to ask clarity on, you can always send me a message.